top 2.5 inches of our conventional field behind us, the top 2 or 3 inches of our soil health field here. We took a slice, I was sleeping, Phil did it, took a slice out of the fence row, and then we have a 6 or 8 way mix of cover crops.
I think it's 8, yeah.
8 species of cover crops. Now what we're going to do before it rains 1 inch in 4 minutes is we're going to put 1 inch of water on these different these soil management systems.
Oh.
It's going to rain 1 inch in 4 minutes, which is pretty typical anymore.
You got to talk about what
Yep.
the contraption, how it works.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Well, we got a bottom tray here. It sits on the bottom, angled, so water that does go into the soil will come out, run out, and collect in the bottom, the back of this back row. The back
yep.
row.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for it to do that, we have a perforated tray that we got our soils and put in.
So these are just as is. We didn't.
Can you please describe one more time the 4 different kind of soil?
Conventionally tilled hay and corn rotation.
Right from over there.
Soil health system right here. 8 years of no-till, some cover crops. A fence row, undisturbed, untilled, and a cover cropped field from here. 6 ways of cover.
Fence row.
Number 2.
This is the fence row right here.
We've had 2 inches. We've had an inch of rain for the last 2 days on this because we've had demoed it twice. So it's got quite a bit of moisture in it. We're just going to see how it does on day 3.
It's saturated soil already.
Yes.
And it's going to rain some more. That never happens. Anybody got a watch?
Timer? We need a 4-minute timer.
I can do it. I got it. You got it? You want it? All right. Thanks, Amy. So we talked about aggregate stability. How resistant is my soil to forces like rain? What's going on here? You see anything happening on the back? That is a demonstration of not so stable aggregates. That's a function of not having as much organic matter in the soil. And we're not very well covered up either. So I know a lot of you here calculate runoff. When we're building structures to mitigate runoff and control erosion, we run equations, right? TR55 is still a tool, a valid tool. Okay, when was TR55 invented? How many years ago do you think? Back in the 60s? I want to ask you a pointed question. How many tillage passes ago was TR55 invented? Okay. Because when we talk about if we want to say we have a runoff problem, I'm going to argue that runoff isn't the problem. That's the result. A lack of infiltration in our agricultural soils is the problem. The lower we continue to go in organic matter, and how do we burn up organic matter? It's tillage. The lower we go, the less stable our aggregates are, the more apt they are to dislodge and float downstream. We have crusting occurring. We have nutrient loss occurring. Now, you know, I think if we had a tilled situation and 9.3% organic matter, I bet we would be surprised at how well the soil functioned. It sure functioned for great-granddad, who had to till to get it accomplished. His soil was more resilient. He had a bigger bank of organic matter to work with. But Like I said, nationwide we lost 3/4 of our organic matter, our carbon in our soils. I don't know how much lower we want to go with that and still claim that we can fix the so-called runoff problem. So before we worry about catching dirt that's running off the field to address the runoff problem, I want us to start thinking more about how can I get that raindrop to soak into the ground right where it falls before it starts moving. And if I have healthy soil, I have soil that'll stay in place even when my soil's full of water. It'll stay in place. These soils have been rained on every day for 4 days. Do I see a big runoff problem occurring here in this cover crop field? I'm not seeing it. Now, and this is, you know, when I talk about soil, and the best soils were developed under prairie, I am not,
You're at 4 minutes.
that's for me, I'm not advocating for us to give up our corn and our soybeans and our wheat and our hay and fence everything off and plant prairie and let the buffaloes roam again. I'm not talking about that. That's ridiculous. That's for the next generation to talk you into. But what we're seeing, this is biomimicry in action. This is the prairie being mimicked in a conventional agricultural setting. I would argue that, look at this, we actually have less runoff from a cropland field with cover crops than we do a fence line. When we think about the principles, we said that prairie's diverse, right? How many species of grass do you see in this fence line? I see one, brome. I see 6 or 8 species over here, and look at the results. So, soil health. How do we mimic the prairie? We can keep it covered. We don't have to till our residue under. We got good machines that can get through just damn near anything anymore. Can we put a living root in the ground either before we harvest our cash crop or immediately after, to increase the diversity, the root architecture, feed the soil, make it more resilient, more able to capture water? You bet. We can put 6 or 8 species in there and we can double the diversity that soil would see in a normal corn, soybean, wheat, hay with oats and peas rotation. We can do all those things. So, taking questions, but I don't know what more I have to say. I don't know what more I have to say.
Pat, one thing I wanted to say from yesterday.